Are you a purpose-driven entrepreneur struggling to get web traffic that converts into paying clients? Stop wasting time and money. Discover how to position yourself as the go-to authority in your niche or industry. Infuse your wow website with the best unmarketing strategies and drive traffic to your website that converts to leads and clients. Listen to the Unmarket Your Business podcast today and watch as your ideal clients find you with ease. Let's head into the studio now with our hostess with the mostest, Carol J. Dunlop. Hey everyone, and welcome back. I'm Carol J. Dunlop, your online wow strategist and 10-time Amazon best-selling author. How you doing? This is such a special episode coming up for me, and I want you to feel the excitement that I feel when I was going through it. What I did was I became a panelist again. I did it previously on the Women of Color Web Designers, and now in Taking Your Business Global, I'm doing it again. I have a very special moderator, my colleague, and now client, Sabrina Hammonds from Kingdom Connections Podcast Agency. She did an awesome job. And I state that in the episode that the reason I wanted her to moderate was because when I told her that I moved to Mexico, she was like, her jaw just dropped and it stayed there for a while. I knew she would be the perfect person to do this because I wanted someone with enthusiasm and who's going to really ask some good questions because, we're all inquiring minds. So without any further ado, let's jump in the studio with me and my guests. I will see you on the other side. What's holding you back from hitting go on your marketing plan? Fear, being unsure, imposter syndrome, frustration? That stops now. What if I showed you how to reach your target audience and get them to buy? How to make social media marketing easy? How to understand the power of email marketing? And how to conquer your fear of putting yourself out there? What if I provided you with simple tools and techniques, easy to implement training that bring you clarity, and give you the expertise and the know-how to convert marketing into money? Hey there, I'm Carol J. Dunlop, the online wow strategist and 6-time best-selling author. I teach purpose-driven entrepreneurs just like you to convert marketing into money. If you're a purpose-driven entrepreneur who's ready to stop allowing fear and frustration to keep you stuck and instead embrace clarity, authority, and expert instruction to convert your marketing strategies into money in the bank, then you need to join the Unmarketing Academy. In the Academy, you'll take a deep dive into the tools, techniques, and trainings that helped me and my husband to sustain our successful business in spite of the 2008 recession, 2 major health crises, and of course, the pandemic. The Academy is about replacing expensive, frustrating, and overwhelming marketing practices with simple, easy to implement marketing resources that get you in front of your target audience and get you paid. This Academy is for purpose-driven entrepreneurs who crave simple marketing strategies, coaches who need real-life trainings to take the overwhelm out of marketing, small business owners who are ready to conquer their fear of putting themselves out there, service providers who want to use social media and email marketing effectively, action takers who are ready to go live without fear. Marketing your business successfully takes work and marketing. Without marketing, they don't know you exist. If you're ready to convert your marketing into money, you need to join the Unmarketing Academy. Join the Unmarketing Academy today by going to unmarketyourbusiness.com/join.
Hello there. I am so excited to be here. I am Sabrina Hammonds, and today we have an exciting panel, and we're going to dive into how these amazing entrepreneurs have taken their business abroad. They've moved abroad and are still working their business, not in the United States, but managing their business while living overseas. And so I'm super excited to be here. I am Sabrina Hammonds. I am the founder and owner of Kingdom Connections Podcast and Media Agency. And I have the privilege and honor of being able to serve transformational leaders who have a sense of urgency to get their message out. And we get to do that through various media outlets. So I'm excited for us to dive in and get to know more from all of our amazing entrepreneurs. So we have today, Dzieduszycka-Suinat, who is in Germany. We have Whitney Bateson, who is in Colombia. We have Crystal Covington, who is in Namibia in Africa. David Wright, who is living in Mexico. Of course, the amazing Carol Dunlop, who's also living in Mexico as of recently. And so I would like to bring up Susan. Yes, hi there, Susan. I would love for you to just take a moment and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you are doing.
Okay, Susan Dzieduszycka-Suinat is the complete name. It's a mouthful. You can call me Susan. I'm the president and CEO of US Vote Foundation and our Overseas Vote and US Vote initiatives. So you can probably guess what I'm doing these days. It's called The Election, and it's pretty much swallowed me whole. But I was glad to have this opportunity to take my mind off some of those issues right now. Our number one objective is to reach Americans all around the world and get them active and voting. So this is a high time for us. And we do that. We express our mission and vision, which are one combined thing. That is, every citizen is a voter. Maybe they just haven't discovered it yet. We express that through 3 different websites. And that's a long story, but I did swear off a 3rd child. I didn't manage to swear off a 3rd website, which came about this year, which is US.vote. And that's an exciting new endeavor. I invite you all. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to talking to you today. My background, by the way, is not in politics, even though I'm working in elections. It's more as a software developer, bringing public services forward. We are a nonprofit, so it's a unique global business approach, perhaps amongst the midst of entrepreneurs on today. But my background is actually in technology. I come out of the software business, and I was in international software marketing prior to this.
Wow, so I'm so excited to hear how you're navigating life while living in Germany. So glad that you could be here. Thank you for pronouncing your name, by the way.
No problem.
I didn't want to botch that. So I listened to an interview from you, I guess, on another show, so I could try to get your name correct.
Thank you so much. That's fine. Susan is fine for everyone.
Susan is good. Okay. Thank you, Susan. Could we bring up Whitney Bateson, who is in Colombia?
Hello.
Hello there, Whitney. How are you?
I'm good, Sabrina. How are you?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the show. Would you mind taking a moment and just introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and where you are.
Yeah. So my name is Whitney Bateson. I'm the owner of Whitney Bateson Digital Strategy. I am a dietitian. My first career was dietitian. I worked in school nutrition for many years, but I really found that my passion really lied in helping other wellness professionals and dietitians get their word out and really just reach the masses. And I saw a gap in the resources, especially in like technology and design and communications and marketing for us as health providers. So I started my business to really just help dietitians and wellness professionals get their websites up online, really market themselves the way they should to really be competitive and really show their value. And that's something that I can do from wherever I am. I actually started my business while I decided to also move abroad. So they were 2 disconnected decisions, but one just happened right after another. And so it's been kind of a crazy ride, but I don't regret it for a second. I think it was the best thing I ever did. And I travel with my husband, who I actually met during my travels. And we are currently in Medellin, Colombia. This is like one of the longest stints that we've had in a while. We're going to be here through January. So I think it's going to be like 6 months, but typically we're traveling around every 2 to 3 months to new places. So yeah.
Wow, I love that. So you're not just in Colombia, you're all over.
Yeah, we are we've been doing this for 6 years now. So we are looking for starting to find some more stable places, but we're probably never going to officially settle down in any one spot, but maybe
you're just
like
going to
longer
continue
places.
to travel. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So glad that you're here, Whitney. So nice to meet you.
Hey there, would you like to be a guest on the Unmarket Your Business podcast? Simple. All you need to do is go to unmarketyourbusiness.com/podcast.
Hello there, Crystal.
Hello, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, good now. Got it all together.
Glad that you could join us today. Could you take a minute and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and where you are in the world.
Yeah, so I'm Crystal Covington. I am in Namibia. I moved here from Denver, Colorado, and my background is in marketing and communications. And while we're here, we've been connecting people to the continent that want to come over and helping people with starting businesses and leading in that area.
You also work with the people that are local to that area.
My clients are still in the United States. I'm still building relationships with people here in the area. And then as people move from the States and come over here, then we connect and I end up working with them too. So far, all my clients are in the US or from the US and living here.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting to know more about what you are doing. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Sabrina.
So can we bring David Wright?
Hello, thanks for having me.
Hi there, David. How are you?
Doing fantastic. If I were much better, probably have to be twins.
Would you take a moment and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, I'm David B. Wright. I founded an award-winning full-service marketing agency about 18 years ago, started in 2006. Originally, I was living in Atlanta at the time, and I was working on publishing my first book and self-published it. My first book was called Get a Job, Your Guide to Making Successful Career Moves. And as a self-published author, of course, I didn't have a very big marketing budget behind me, so I ended up learning about SEO and implemented what I was learning. And next thing I knew, I was #1 on Yahoo for Get a Job book out of over 1 billion results. And then Bing and Google, and gradually it dawned on me that maybe I should start offering this as a service to business owners who need to get found by more of their perfect clients, patients, or customers. And we've evolved since then into a full service marketing agency. We've won 46 awards in the past 3 years or so. And I love what I do. I love the fact that it helps people, and I found something that I'm really good at that I can do anywhere.
So your business comes from helping yourself first and figuring that out for yourself. And then now you get to pass that on to your clients.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I had the goals of financial freedom and time freedom at first, but then I didn't realize until later that location freedom was going to be just as important. And now I live by the beach in Mexico and been here for almost 7 years now.
Well, I look forward to hearing how that's going over there in Mexico. I'm so glad that you could join us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Carol, can you come on up?
Here we go. Let me get my
Hello,
old self
Carol.
together.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Carol, over there in Mexico?
Yes. We're in Playa del Carmen. This is awesome having everybody. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you, Sabrina, for agreeing to be the moderator so I can just kind of sit back a little bit and be the panelist. And then I want to thank all of the guests that are here, because this was such a stunt to pull together, especially right now, since I don't have internet at my house. I am in a co-working spot. I was supposed to have a private room. I didn't have this little bitty phone booth that looks like I'm going to turn into Superwoman, which I am. And we're just going to keep on rolling with it. So thank you everyone for being here. I just love it. Some of the people here, I think everybody except for Sabrina, this is the first time I'm actually seeing you face to face. So see how the online world is. I just love it. You know, we're not trees. We're not rooted wherever we are. We can do whatever we want. So just to tell you a little bit about our story, my husband and I we were from the States, from Atlanta. And we were sitting watching TV one day, and then the Supreme Court decided to overturn Roe versus Wade. And my husband looked at me and said, if they decide to do, this was when it leaked, if they decide to do that, I don't think that I can live here in the States any longer when half of the population doesn't have any rights. And I was like, okay, well, let me look at where we can go, because I've always wanted to live in a country where I could learn to speak Spanish fluently. And I've wanted to live by the beach, and I wanted to live abroad. So I get to do all three of those things in Playa del Carmen, where we are right now. We're only a few blocks from the beach. And we started making our escape plan about 2 years ago. And I've been down the YouTube University Road watching everybody. As a matter of fact, I think Susan, I saw her on YouTube. She was on this show, on this podcast called Almost Retired in Mexico. I was like, I got to get her on this. This is awesome. And I met Whitney in a web designer group that we're in together, Web Designer Pro. And she came on and said, hey, I'm Whitney. I'm currently a nomad in Colombia. And I was like, oh God, she's going to be good. Let me get her on here. And then Crystal, I started watching her YouTube videos with her and her husband, her cutest family ever, I'm telling you. And she's like in Namibia, Africa. And I'm like, she's got to be on here, because I really wanted a wide range of people to be on here and show us that, hey, all of us can do whatever we want. And of course, David, I've known David for a few years, never seen him kind of face-to-face or virtually face-to-face or whatever. But he was kind of the first person I reached out to when I said I was going to move to Mexico. He was like, well, come on down. What you waiting on? So I've been just talking with everybody, and I'm just so happy to see this come to fruition. And the very reason I wanted to do it is to show people that, yes, you can be an American citizen. You can live wherever you want. You can do whatever you want, and you can still make money. So that's me and my story. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about some other things, but that's what I got going right now.
I love it. It sounds like such an adventure.
It definitely is. Definitely is. I'm telling you.
Well, all right. I think with the election at hand, I would love to start off with a question regarding voting and your right to vote as an overseer, and how are we navigating? How are you guys navigating through that? Now, I know, Susan, this is your area. So maybe you could just share a little bit about that as we get started.
It would be my greatest pleasure. Of course, you've got my favorite topic up first, so thank you very much. And I hope all of you have done the one thing that you need to do as an overseas citizen, and that is to fill out the one single form that will do two things simultaneously. It will both register you as an overseas voter and request your overseas absentee ballot. And if you're wondering where that is, you can find it on usvotefoundation.org. If you've never voted from abroad before and you're wondering, how to get started, we have a special tool that we produced this year. It's called the Voter Journey Map, and it's on our us.vote website, which is the new one, which is all about communications. And if you go through the Voter Journey Map, you can choose the overseas path. It's just a walk through the park to figure out how to vote this year. And you'll come out of it with a checklist and all the links for your state, where to go, what to do in the order that suits you, and without the things that you don't need, So that's a great way to start. Also, just to give you an idea, I think it's important that overseas citizens know a lot of this program has been modernized. I started 20 years ago. I would say that this business found me. I was already abroad working as a software executive. I went to vote. It was 2004. I was handed cardstock paper form and a 500-page instruction book, which for a software executive is like, wow, this is a great opportunity to change things. And in the US, you can. If you comply with the rules, you can make things better. So I started a nonprofit, needless to say. It was, our legacy is overseas voting, and it was overseasvotefoundation.org. That's still number one place where our voters go. We reinvented that website this year. In that process, I ended up involved in reform, and I'm happy to tell you all that reform has occurred, and it makes the process for you now as an overseas voter today a lot easier. You could go on the site, you could register and request your ballot, apply your signature to the form, send it to your election office right through our system in one session. There's some states that don't allow it. In that case, it wouldn't be offered and you'd have to download it and print it. But then there are usually still quite a few options, including scanning and attaching it to an email to get the request in. That's what you need to do now. The other thing that's really great about the system, you can, as an overseas voter, choose to either receive your ballot on paper or online. And if you're in Mexico, I know you're going to choose online. You're going to get it next week. You're going to fill it out and send it back by FedEx, and you're going to get your vote in. So there's so much more I could tell you about, but it's really one of the best voting programs that we've got in America, and I encourage you all to try it.
Wow, thank you. So who in here has already navigated through voting from being overseas? And you can share about what that's been like.
Well, we just went through it. I will say that we finally, bit the bullet and went for it this year. In years past, I think there's also, I'll just say this, and being open about just the purpose of this panel is that, the US doesn't like it when you don't have like a location, like an actual physical home. Like the banks don't really like it. Like there's lots of red tape. And so sometimes starting to do things that are just kind of putting you in certain situations with where is your physical address, where is your mailing address, and all of those kinds of things can feel a little sticky and a little uncomfortable. I just have to say. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we've faced is just like, where is that physical permanent home location in the US, even though we don't live in the US anymore. And, if you have family in places, then that's wonderful. But we know that there's tax implications in certain states versus others, and maybe that's not always the best choice. But anyway, I say all that to say we finally pushed through all of that and said, okay, we're going to do it. And yeah, I will say, I don't think it's been terribly difficult. We did the request. It got emailed to us. We are going to fax back. I had to print it out and sign it, although I will check out your website next time, Susan. But so yeah, and then it's just going to be faxed back. So we don't have to mail anything and worry that there's going to be postal delays and all of that. So honestly, it was surprisingly simple. Yeah.
Can I add just a couple things? Because I really want to address that you do not have to have a current address or own property or anything in the U.S. to vote from abroad. You just need to put in the address of where you last resided. That's your voting residence address. It's called your address for voting purposes, or as I said, voting residence address. You do not have to have you won't receive mail there. They know by using the form that you are abroad. Then you put in your address where you are abroad. And as I said, you can receive your ballot online. As for taxes, yes, it's a tragedy that America has residence-based taxation, or does not have residence-based taxation. We follow our citizens with
wherever they go.
I would highly advise, if you are indefinitely abroad and you're uncertain about when you're going to go back, if ever, just vote for the federal level. That's president, vice president, U.S. Senate, and U.S. House. If they're sitting in Washington, that's the race to vote. You can always ignore offices you don't want to vote for. I would not vote for governor on down, because like you said, you're no longer living in that state. You don't want to implicate yourself for state taxes. Don't vote those offices. Leave that part of the ballot blank. That's perfectly fine.
That's an interesting point, because that is the difficulty. Some states, like, they'll keep taxing you until you've really proven you've moved out of that place. And it just gets complicated. I know that's not the point of all of this, but that's a really good point.
It is really a disaster for us. That is difficult. Yeah.
So David, would you like to chime in about what your experience has been like?
Actually, my experience was over 20 years ago when I was living in Tokyo. So the processes have changed a bit since then. But went ahead and did it and got it done. Just did what it took to get it done.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're overseas or you're abroad, you need to connect with Susan, because I bet she's got some resources that can walk you through the process. Crystal, have you had any experiences?
I've registered and my ballot is in my email box, but I haven't opened it to see what is the requirement for what I'm supposed to do with it yet, but it's in there.
Well, get it back as soon as possible. Print it out and get it out there. It's got to make its way back.
I was going to say, I'm taking a radical move. We are flying to Atlanta next Thursday to vote early and in person, because in Georgia, I do not trust that voter suppression state at all. So we're going to be in the line in person. voting, and I'm going to make my voice heard. And then after that, I will use Susan from now on, because we had already planned that, because I was just scared to death. What if I leave? What if they cancel my vote? Because Georgia is known for emptying off that roll anytime they want, and they've done it before. So and I'm so glad that God has blessed us so we could go early, because if there's anything, if they got a hint, oh, she may not be on the soil, I can go fix it before actual date. So that's what I'm doing.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
Yay.
I think it's a good reminder for everyone to vote, because every vote does count.
Yes.
Whether you're in the US or you're living abroad, vote. I think that's, be sure that you vote. And I think that also brings us to our next question, which is adaptability and having to adapt. I know that, I don't know if all of you are in places where you feel like time is just so different, where it just feels like a very slow pace of life. But I've heard from different people who have been to Africa, especially, that they'll get to it when they get to it. And so, and I know Carol has mentioned the time does not operate the same way. People just don't do things like we do in the US. And so I would just love to hear, how have you had to adapt? What are some specific things that you feel like you've really had to adjust to being abroad? David, would you like to start us off?
Sure. For one thing, obviously the sense of timing, sense of urgency is very different. In Mexico, mañana does not always mean tomorrow. It might mean the next day, it might mean this week, it might be next week. So trying to get as specific as possible with whoever's providing whatever service you need, whether it's your plumber, electrician, which oddly enough are usually the same person here, or a mechanic or whatever it might be. And another big thing is at least learning the basics of the language. I was fortunate because I had studied Spanish in high school and college, and then took it about as far as I could take it in school and switched over to learning Japanese, and promptly forgot a lot of my Spanish. But once I moved down here, I started picking it up again, and now I'm reasonably fluent, not quite perfect, but I've actually been told people know me here as the gringo who speaks Spanish. Sadly, there are people here who have lived here for 15, 18, 20 years and still don't speak beyond the basics of hola, buenos dias, hello, good day, or get my check, please, things like that. But I think that it's the way I look at learning another language is it's not just learning another way to say something, it's learning a different way of looking at the world. And it's important to be a representative of your own country, to make people feel like you're making the effort to understand their way of looking at the world as well.
I have to agree. I want to jump in here really quickly because I can, I guess. No, but I wanted to say, David, I totally feel you on that. Last night we had our water delivered. If y'all don't know, do not drink the water that comes out of the faucet in Mexico. Just don't even do it, y'all.
Oh.
Just don't do it. So we have to order water in a bottle. And I had messaged the guy to say, hey, did you forget or whatever? He goes, no, they're out. This is like 7:30 at night. No, they're out there right now. And this was in Spanish, translating it in Spanish. I was like, okay. So they came across, and they didn't speak a lick of English at all. And I barely speak any Spanish. I'm learning more and more and more. So we get up to our condo door, and I brought the 2 empty bottles, and I was like, yeah, these empties, right? And they were just so fascinated. Empty, empty, empty. They were trying to talk to me in English and learning that word. And I was like, well, como se dice empty in Spanish, and Lord knows I forgot it now, but they were telling me. So we're standing up there conversing back and forth. And I think that's the beauty of everything, just being open, willing to learn, willing to listen. I think anybody appreciates that just as much as you going out there and being able to speak anything, because I found that, I'm struggling, and a lot of hand gestures will help you, plus Google Translate, of course. But if you're just open to it, they want to learn your language as much as you want to learn their language, because even though we're in Playa del Carmen right here, English is not as prevalent as you think it would be. So
what about you, Crystal? I would love to hear the ways you've adapted in Africa.
So the thing that came to my head when you said that question was the thing that I'm dealing with right now, like, which is ordering things. I was obsessed with, not obsessed, but I didn't like to leave my house. I like to order everything to me. We're not in the downtown, so I'm not sure if it works differently downtown, but they don't deliver to my door. People have what is a PO box, and so they give me a slip and I have to go pick things up. And then there are really high duty fees. So in the United States, we have a really open situation with being able to have things delivered from other countries. So I used to get packages, you can order on Etsy and it can be coming from Bulgaria. I have a few of my favorite dresses that are from Bulgaria or Ukraine because they make really nice things on Etsy. And then a lot of packages came from China, and I never had a duty fee in my life. I didn't even know that was a thing. And now when I get a package, so I have one that came, I saw an ad on Facebook. I said, okay, I'm going to take the chance again because I really want these barefoot grounding shoes. So I bought some barefoot grounding shoes that are on their way here. And in advance of them sending the package, they send me a clearance document and then some other document that all looks like it's business to business. It looks like it's made for if you are importing goods to resell, but it's just some shoes I bought. I got to fill these out, and then I have to give them the receipt and proof that it came out of my bank at the cost that I say it was, and the receipt says. So it's a lot. And then I got to go pick it up. And when I pick it up, the duty fee is like 60%. So I really wanted these shoes. They don't sell grounding barefoot shoes here. So they were $187. And so I'm going to pay 100 and something more US dollars for whatever the duty fee is to get them here. Wow. It's expensive. So you got to really want things. And so my Amazon habit is dead. No more.
I bet it is. Oh my goodness. So no, like ordering your groceries and going them and picking them up like what we do here.
No. So they do have one store that delivers groceries. And I'm not downtown. So there are a few differences downtown. There might be more delivery options. But there's one grocer that comes out here and they don't bring everything. They have certain things that they sell. So I've had to get used to just going to the store to get what I want. And they've gotten used to, I order every other week I just stock up the closet with it. But it's very different. I was Instacart, I was Grubhub, I was everything came to if I didn't feel like cooking, it was something coming at the door that day. So now I cook everything too. I've learned to cook everything.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be a big adjustment. I think we probably order from Amazon regularly. So I can't imagine not having access to that. You have to really want something, like you said. What about you, Whitney? I see you shaking your head over there, nodding your head.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the constant travel for us has also forced us, because we just have 3 suitcases between the two of us, my husband and I, with some carry-ons. So you can't have things more than what already fits in the suitcase, or you have to let go of something else. And honestly, I have appreciated so much letting go of the consumerism that is so rampant in the United States. When I go back, I don't feel comfortable there anymore. I think I'm probably on an extreme. Like, I wear the same clothes that I've had for like 10 years sometimes. I rotate a few things, but the desire to shop and to buy things has left me. And I've realized that was just something that was created because it's so easy to access things in the United States, and it's so easy to get these things, and everyone's doing it. And you see the ads on, even TikTok, like there's no ads here in Colombia, but I go back in this United States, every other, scroll is a light therapy mask or a collagen mask or like whatever the case may be. And there's just so much of that. And so it's really refreshing to kind of just let go of that. And it is tough. It can be really tough to not have the things that you see other people having, and you do have to let go of those things. And I'll be honest, like, we are getting spoiled again here in Colombia. Like, in Medellin, they have delivery for everything. It's super convenient. But then we've lived in places, we were in Mauritius during the pandemic as well. It's an island off the coast of Africa, past Madagascar in the Indian Ocean. So it's very small. And we didn't have a car. A lot of the places that we travel to, like, we're not renting cars and whatever. And our neighbors were just flabbergasted that we would walk to the grocery store to get our groceries and come back. And it's just those kinds of things where it's like, yeah, it's, it's not convenient. It's not super great, but it just kind of forces you to be adaptable and to just know that no matter where you're dropped, you're going to be okay because you figured it out. And there's more important things in life, like seeing the world and experiencing these new cultures than, having those niceties that maybe we're used to. So that's how I feel about it.
Honestly, that sounds very freeing to me, I think.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Susan? What have you had to adapt to or make changes, adjust?
I think I'm going to echo what my colleagues here have said, and also add in that when I moved abroad, it was a very conscious choice, and I was ready for change. I wanted to leave a country where people only spoke one language. I wanted to try new ways of doing things. I wanted to experience what it felt like to be close to a community. I mean, at first I lived in Paris, and I wouldn't have gotten the job if I hadn't made a real effort to learn French and kind of try to keep it up at least to a certain level. And then I really threw myself into it. And I will just say that David is absolutely right. You're never going to feel comfortable in a new culture. You're not going to understand them. The way a sentence is phrased, the order of the words is a way of thinking that it's essential to understanding where you are and really experiencing it fully. And I love that opportunity. And so I went for it fully. I became fluent in French and fortunately lived on a market street. So shopping every day was just part of being there. I kind of swore off Amazon, ages ago. I go to the market. Now I'm in Germany, in Bavaria. I take every opportunity to do things the way they do them here and to connect with the people in the village where I live. And it can be really, if you think of it, some people here feel like it's really stultifying or just smothering, but I actually like it. Everybody's friendly when you're friendly to them. And I'm sure you've all had that same experience, that they can be harder on themselves in a foreign country than you would ever be on them. So I go to the local market once a week and I walk my dog and I talk to the other dog owners and I do all those things to kind of balance out all the work I do and to just get to know my neighbors and my community. And I love the differences. And I feel like we can pick and choose. We're so lucky. We can say, I like doing this the way Americans do it. I like doing this the way French do it. I like doing this the way wherever I am is doing it, and putting that together to make our lives here. With the perspective, looking back, sometimes it feels like, we're the lucky ones because we got to have that experience of living in the U.S. We get the freedom of being a U.S. citizen. And there are difficulties, as Whitney was saying. There really are complications. However, we can navigate them. And I think in the long run, we have this perspective of looking back, and we have an idea of, how our country. We are the ambassadors for our country, whether we want to be or not. We are their informal ambassadors. It's so great that we're at boardrooms around the world, or in boardrooms and at the table with, other citizens abroad, but also with people in the country where we are, our host country, and we are the guests. So for me, it's just all a pleasure every single day. I really love it.
I love that. I think that's beautiful, being able to experience and be immersed in a different culture and realize, wait a minute, not everybody does things the way that we do here in the US. And so I think that's a really amazing experience. Now, all of you shared things that are mostly related to personal lives, but I know that your move has had to affect and impact your businesses because you're not new business owners. You've been building and growing a business. So what are some of the things that you've had to maybe pivot or challenges you've had to overcome in building and growing your business and being in another country? Who would like to chime in first? I see you, Whitney. I see you shaking your head. Nodding your head.
Yeah, I feel like it's a constant, and I will echo first. I just want to say, Susan, I totally agree with you. I will also say that I'm sure you all will agree that it also is extremely challenging a lot of these times in learning these cultures and these new places. And especially too, if you're moving around like I am, you're finding a new hairdresser, a new dentist, a new grocery store. What do they call the grocery store? It's all these experiences that are just navigation. So it's both a joy and it's also just constant stress too, but it's worth it. The joys outweigh it. And so when it comes to business, one of the things for me, and this is just kind of like tactical stuff, is like, I really like working from home. And so when we're staying in Airbnbs wherever we go, sometimes we're trying to look for long-term leases, but that can be just tough to find. And the beauty of Airbnb is that there are reviews, there's great photos, the payment options are easy. Whereas finding a long-term rental off of a realty website, sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know until you're getting there. We were renting a place in Kuala Lumpur and we just got a video phone walkthrough, and then surprise, surprise, half the appliances don't work when we got there, and we had signed a 3-month lease. So you just do deal with it, and it was workable enough that we stayed. But we will sometimes buy desks. So I'm sitting at a bought desk. We're here for multiple months. So spending $100 from my business to buy a desk and have an office chair so I can be comfortable is worth it to me. And I'm not spending that money on a co-working space or whatnot. So I think doing the things that are going to make your work comfortable and being both adaptable, but then also trying to find senses of normalcy whenever you can, or have routines if you're switching locations, is really important. And then the last thing I'll say is just obviously the time zone being such a challenge. If you're moving time zones all the time, or David, working from Tokyo, like, I just hats off to you because I worked from Japan late last year, and it's worth it because it's just wonderful there and you do it, but then also it's challenging. So I found for myself, I didn't want my business to keep me in a certain location. I was really like, no, I should be able to work wherever I want, but then I have to come to terms with like, well, I don't like doing calls at 10, 11, 12 a.m. And especially for me, I do launches in my business. And so I really need to be available for multiple hours across the day for sales inquiries and things like that. And when you have such a small overlap, it makes sales hard, especially. So, I feel like I'm always figuring it out and always working it out. So I don't think I have the solution. It's just constantly learning and adapting and saying, okay, you know what? That was challenging. Maybe I'm going to do something different the next time. So
I would imagine time zone would be something that would be very big.
Yeah.
I'm going to chime in on that and just say that was what I was going to bring up as the most challenging thing. I agree. I don't want to work at 11 at night. It ruins my life. But
not an understatement.
Fortunately, what I've noticed over time is that I am always saying, can we meet in your morning? And they have now, my whole team, they're all really used to that. And everyone that I work with on a regular basis. And then the minute I meet someone new and we're going to set up a meeting, it's, can we meet in your morning? And it's just incredible how accommodating people are. Over time, they never expect anything else. And I'm not afraid to ask for it. I think we have to ask for things. Being in a nonprofit with a very limited budget, I've really had to learn to ask. So that's how I did it.
Another point about the time difference also is that we get used to it so much that it's easier for us to do the math in our heads to figure out what time it's going to be, as long as we know their times. And like last year, Mexico abolished daylight savings time, so we no longer change times twice a year. Whereas
that's why I'm having all the issues. It's just 1 hour, but I keep talking at 10, 11, 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
So,
and you and I are 1 hour different as well.
I know, it's so crazy. So I'm in
Yucatan and you're in Quintana Roo.
Right. I just ask people, what time is it there right now where you are? And then I look at my clock and I'm like, okay, we can deal with this, but time zone definitely is one of those things. David, I thought you were like down the street from me or something, like an hour or so. Is that where you're in Progresso, right?
I'm in Progresso, which is about 30 minutes north of Merida.
Oh, okay. You're on the other side.
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so we just got grazed by the hurricane, and thankfully it veered a little bit north, so the damage here was fairly minimal.
Good.
But there were some places that got destroyed, some houses, some piers, some docks, and so on. But my house, very minimal. The dogs are fine.
Good deal. Good deal.
What about you, Crystal? I know that you can't just order things for your business like you want to. But what other things, like how has it affected your business?
Well, I mean, I feel like I would just mirror what everybody else has said. So we have, for example, I have a sales call. I asked somebody, what time can you meet me? And the only time she has is after 3:30 any of the days. And so that means, I think, I haven't looked it up. I think it could be hours into my night. So it might be 9 or 10. I don't know. I haven't checked, but I think she's in mountain time. So it's going to be a big difference. So whatever it means for me, I just have to handle it. So sometimes I might have to do 11 o'clock calls or something. When I was in the United States, I was doing late night calls to talk to people here in Namibia so that I could get things done during their mornings and my night. So I still don't have it in my head. I use online calculators, but there's that. And then there's the fact that I did everything online. I barely ever used my phone, and I had to learn to pick up my phone now. So people do business on the phone here, and they don't answer emails quickly or prioritize them a whole lot. It might take a very long time to get an email response, if at all. So there are things where I've tried to order. There is a store here in another city. I tried to ask them, can I order something there? And the email thread just dropped. And I've asked, hey, are you there? Hey, are you there? And nobody there. There's been just a lot of things like that where things will just drop off, or like I needed somebody to come and fix. I have a fireplace and I needed somebody to come and chimney sweep. And they said, okay, when we're over in your area, we'll reach out. And it's a WhatsApp conversation. And I'm going, hey, are you ever going to be here? Oh yeah, someday, someday. So I don't know. So it's just, in the United States, I'm used to people hustling me for everything. So I didn't answer my phone because every phone call was a sales call. And I knew people responded to email pretty well, so we could always have a scheduled time or something like that. And everything's just quite different, even down to the fact that you must have WhatsApp. When I have tried to send people a picture in the text messages don't do that. You do that on WhatsApp. And so everything is like two different apps. So messaging is in WhatsApp. Everybody uses that. But then everybody's buying airtime. So you buy prepaid airtime instead of having plans. So I've had to get used to just an abundance of different ways of living life and different ways of doing business. So even down to the last thing I'll mention, because somebody recently asked me, is how do you use your phone? So I still have my US number on the same phone. I use something called Tello, and I have an eSIM. And I use Wi-Fi for my calling so that people can call me on my old number, and using the Wi-Fi, I can answer it or I can call out. And so I can still have my US number. And that was a big deal. I had actually come here with a second phone because I didn't know. And I had a US plan on the one phone with Xfinity Mobile. And then I had this other phone where I put the SIM in there from Namibia. And now I have just the one phone with both. And that changed my life when I could get just the one phone and stop looking at two. But my goodness, you have to switch your brain and just say nothing will be normal and just start from zero.
Yeah, figuring out the tech and the phone number a couple years ago when I started traveling, I mean, like brought me to my knees. Like it was just, it was very stressful. Like, what am I running a business? Not that many people don't call me, but I didn't want to miss phone calls. And so, my solution is Google Fi. even though they do cut you off from roaming data if you're outside the US too much, but I still only just pay for that number, and I do get calls. But then I use eSIMs, use Airalo. One other like tip is that when I bought my new phone, I realized that in the US, they've removed the physical SIM slot in the US phones on iPhones.
Oh.
And granted, you can get eSIMs in most countries and all of that, but the local SIM is usually much less expensive. And so I made a point, we were in Switzerland, and so I bought my phone in Switzerland so that I had the physical SIM slot and can still use physical SIMs because it was worth it to me. But it's just like those little things that unfortunately, you don't really figure out until trial and error.
That's true. I wanted to say, we studied so much, because we're online as well. We're web designers. So we got to contact our people through online. And I didn't even use WhatsApp. I had it on my phone, but I didn't really use it. But now it's like everybody, WhatsApp me. And I've learned something here in Mexico. They don't use websites. They don't like websites. And as much as I tell them, I haven't really conversed with the Mexican people yet, but as much as I know from the US, you need a website. Stop using Facebook and Instagram. Guess what they're using? Yeah. Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Yep. It's not don't go to the URL, go to WhatsApp. Use it that way. Call them, send pictures, everything. They live and die on WhatsApp. So that's been really hard to deal with. And before I got here, I did have a Google phone number that I used. I did not port my numbers. I understand you can't do that anymore, but I use my Google phone and it operates on Wi-Fi. So I get my calls. My husband, thank God, got us a great plan on Verizon. And so we are able to use the phone here and not have these roaming things. But our internet thing, we still do not have internet in our house because for some reason we cannot. And we just moved into the condo last Monday. And we have been fighting with them, trying to get them. And the guy just told me yesterday, and I've repeated this whole thing like 5 times to like 10 different people, what their address was. And they don't have a real address. I figured out, and you can help me with this, David. I figured out that the address starts with the street that your building is facing is on that street. So we're on 25 Avenida North, right? So it starts that way. Then you tell them the streets that you're in between, right?
That is just so beautiful, Carol.
Yes. So it's Main Street, streets that are in between. And if you are in an apartment, you can tell them apartment number. The kicker with us is that we are in condominiums called Las Margaritas, which sounds good, right? But the condos across the street are called Las Margaritas 2. And every time you bring it up on Google, what do you find? Las Margaritas 2. So last night when we were trying to get the water, that's where the people were. And they were talking to the people in the apartment number and saying, are you, Alvin and Carol Dunlop? And they're like, no, we don't know who those people are. So the people at the internet said, oh, we thought you were on 26th Avenue. I was like, where did you get 26 from? We never said that. He was like, well, give me the whole thing. I mean, the address takes up a book. You have to tell them the latte number. You have to tell them the manzana. I don't even know what manzana is, but you got to tell them that. You got to tell them the 2 streets. You got to tell them the apartment. You got to tell everything. I mean, the address is crazy, and you don't really have a real address. So my husband was like, oh my God, how do we get Amazon things? We have not tried that yet. He is an Amazon junkie, so he is ready. So we're gonna try it. I'm just saying, it's just like Whitney says, just like everybody says, you just gotta adapt to where you are and don't think that wherever you're moving to is a little slice of the United States.
I want to echo that. I don't think that the idea that the way the U.S. does it is normal. The way the world communicates is on WhatsApp, and we're the late ones. Yeah, it's free, and the reason for it is it's encrypted. It's encrypted. That is a big deal. Yes. So you should want that. Also, you can make calls for free, and overseas that's a big deal. So just forget text. That's looked at as like old school.
WhatsApp.
I do have a suggestion for telephones. I think I just lucked out. 20 years ago when I started the foundation, I bought a 202 number on Skype. It rings on my phone, whichever phone I have, wherever I am. It rings on my computer, wherever I am. And I have never had a problem. And then if we, like this year, we did a student study abroad call out program. And I had a bunch of interns calling all the universities in the US from all over the world. I just bought them all numbers through Skype. And it's just a few pennies per call. And it really worked out. You can choose a number with an area code that you want and get Skype out and just pay as you go. And it moves with your devices. And that way.
That's a good idea. That's a good, I hadn't even thought of Skype. Yeah. Because I had a number.
Enough for having it's equal to it's literally been our corporate telephone number for 20 years. And it's worked out great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I feel like we could just go on and on, like, because there's so much to dive into when it comes to what you're navigating through. But I'm kind of amazed just listening to all of your stories at how adaptable that you have had to become. But what comes to mind is you probably have this thing within you that everything is figure outable. Whatever it is, you can figure it out. And I think that's something that we can all learn, from what you guys are doing and the lives that you're living. Because me, like, I'm in Texas and I've always been in Texas. This is all I've ever known. So I'm listening to you guys and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is what you're going through. And I'm just thinking, I mean, everybody doesn't live this way. Like, oh, I've never been out of the country. So I'm just listening and I'm like, man, they have a figure outable spirit because they're having to figure it out and just go with it and be flexible and be grateful, right? Because I bet you're finding things that you maybe have taken for granted, that now you're just so grateful to have this or that, or have internet, or be able to pick up the phone, or just things that we take for granted here. So I think it's fascinating. And the adventures that you're on is, like, I'm fascinated. And I know that people that are listening are gleaning so much, and even probably just thinking, wow, I think I want to do this, or, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I don't know if I want to do this at all.
I hope we didn't scare anyone off. It is extremely rewarding, like, financially and, everything else too. So
yeah, don't be scared. And if you are scared, it doesn't matter. Just do it scared. It doesn't matter. Just do it. If it's something you want to do, thought about doing, whatever. I love the look on people's faces right now, since we've only been in Mexico since middle of August, right? I love coming online with my clients and they're like, Carol, how's it going? What's going on? I was like, well, I moved to Mexico. They're like, what? Mexico? What? You're kidding, right? So I tell you, you're actually joking. I was like, no, I'm in Mexico right now. What? Yeah. And then I have to go through the whole story. But that warms my heart to be able to tell them that, that I'm here. I escaped.
Yeah, people like hearing about it. That was a fear, moving abroad, of thinking my clients would be frustrated or, disappointed that I was outside the country, but it's quite the opposite. And you still need to make sure you deliver the service and all of that. But yeah. And I think also just the other thing is there's so many people like us out here who want to help, want to share our experience. So if anyone is listening and wanting to do this, I know I'm always open to answering questions or being that source of encouragement for anyone else.
Yeah, I know. I'm inspired. I'm encouraged. I'm like, how can we do this? I have 2 children at home, a husband, and I'm like, could we do this? Is it possible? Like,
the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I've met 3 families since I've been down here in Mexico. They uprooted the family, they uprooted everybody, and they just moved. And it doesn't matter where, just if you're thinking about this, about going somewhere, my biggest thing is to research. Figure out 3 places you'd like to go in the world. Doesn't matter if it's across the street, across the world, across the ocean. Figure out 3 places, go on YouTube and start researching. Because that's what we did. We started with 5, whittled it down to 3, and then that's how we got to Mexico. Just figure it out. It is figure outable. So you can do it. You just have to be prepared. And yes, there are some horror stories that have come from everywhere in the world. There are some bad things that happened everywhere in the world. But my thing is, you can be a bright, shiny light in the place that you go to and live your best life at the same doggone time. Just remember, you're not a tree. You don't have roots. You can go wherever you want. So just go do it.
Absolutely. And don't always believe the U.S. news.
Yes.
They say Mexico is dangerous. They say in the U.S. news is almost always drugs and cartels.
Right.
Where I am is one of the safest places on the planet.
Right.
And
Honestly, when we were outside the U.S., sorry to interrupt. Like the U.S. looks scary.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That's why I moved. The U.S. is scary. That's why I
feel-
moved. I didn't want to be target practice for somebody with an AK. I'm just sorry.
That's so true.
you
My
know,
kids
so-
would not go there for those reasons.
Right.
Last year, there was a shooting in the parking lot of the closest target to where I used to live for parking space.
Right.
You
Crazy.
don't have that here.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
We're from
If it-
Colorado. There were tons of school shootings, and I was so scared of those kinds of things. One
Yeah.
day, I was behind. There was a man who had been going around shooting Walmarts, and I was behind the car when he got pulled. He got picked up by the police. The police were pulling guns out of the back of his car. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't be."
Wow.
I
Wow.
was so scared. I watched the takedown of the Walmart shooter and I
Wow.
was done. I was done.
Yeah, but that
I
is
Well,
think
I know
the
that-
rest of the world, or we in America, from the U.S., they view the rest of the world through such condescension sometimes. Like
Yes.
they'll talk about Europe as old Europe. And I go back to the U.S. and it's like you land in LaGuardia or something.
Would you like to get free coaching from me? Simple. All you need to do is go to unmarketyourbusiness.com/podcast.
Yeah, I know that there's going to be those that want to connect with you guys, and I don't feel like we've even had a chance to really dive very much into what each one of you does, but perhaps we can learn more by sharing the gift or resource that you might have for the audience. So, David, would you like to go ahead and share?
Like I mentioned earlier, I run a full service marketing agency. Everything we do is designed to help our clients get more of their perfect clients, patients, or customers and grow the revenues. So ROI is a big focus with us. I can do a free 30-minute consultation. My online calendar is at w3group.appointlet.com, or I'm really easy to find online. My two biggest competitors are a Fortune 500 CEO and the former New York Mets baseball player, David Wright.
Well, I'm sure we'll have the link to that in the show notes as well. So a free 30-minute consultation. I love that. I appreciate that.
And one of you might get a copy of these too.
Video marketing for your business. I probably need that. 7 ways to make your phone ring and get more clients in 30 days or less. Those are your books, I'm assuming.
Those are number 5 and 6. I've got 6 books now, including 2 bestsellers, and I'm working on number 7 and 8 now too.
Wow. That's awesome.
So impressive.
Been a lot of fun.
Wow. What about you, Susan? Would you like to share what you have for the audience and tell us a little bit more, especially with the voting? I think I would really love to know some of the resources that you have to share.
Well, that has to be my gift because we are a nonpartisan, nonprofit public charity with every voter service you can imagine and a voter help desk with agents who will answer your question personally. And it's all free. And it's all for you online. And my gift is to ask you to give your vote in this election. There are 3 websites: usvotefoundation.org, where all the moving parts and services for any action you want to take, any question you want answered, we can answer it. There's everything from looking up your sample ballot to tracking your ballot to it's all there for you. Overseasvotefoundation.org, if you've never voted from abroad, it's a great place to land. It really tells you right away, wherever you are, you take the right to vote in your pocket. And it takes you from there. And again, it will lead you to the services you need. And then if you're wondering just how to vote, what is the whole complete process? Where do I start? Where do I end? What is it for me? You can go to us.vote and take a walk with your voter journey map. And that's what I would say. That's my gift to you. 20 years of hard work for literally no salary. I did it all for nothing, but I have a great team. They give so much of their lives and their expertise and knowledge, and they bring it to this area to help our fellow citizens. And so my gift to you is to give you the possibility to vote. And I hope you take
I love that. Yes, we're all going to vote. Yes. Crystal, what about you?
They can always visit shofarbc.com, and there's a button there to learn about the African Diaspora Investment Tour, where we'll have people out to Namibia to teach them about opportunities and introduce them to government leaders and business leaders so they can learn about that event. And there is a link to schedule time with me if they're interested in learning more about any of the things that we do.
I just love the name of that too, the shofar. That sounds very powerful. I
Like
love
blow
that.
the shofar.
Yes. Yes.
Most people don't know what that is.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought about when I read the title. I was like, oh, I felt that. Very powerful. Yes. So what about you, Whitney?
Shogun.
Yeah, so I run a web design business for wellness professionals. So if anyone is interested, who's listening, who is in that realm, either you have a website or you are wanting to create a website as a practitioner or a course creator in the wellness space, you can go to whitneybateson.com. But then specific to this topic today, I did create a guide that is called Destination Freedom. That's really just a few resources about both living abroad and also the financial aspects of living abroad. And I really firmly believe that going abroad is one of the ways to get closer to financial freedom and achieve it. It's certainly made it a lot easier for me to see that. So you can go to whitneybateson.com/destination freedom for that guide. That's free.
I love that. I'm going to have to go grab that for myself. Carol, I know you have some amazing resources.
Yes, I do. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you, everyone. This has been better than I thought it would be, and I thought it was going to be great. And y'all are so awesome. So hats off to you. Namaste. Thank you so much. All right. So my gift to everyone who is listening in, I'm also a web designer. And you'll notice that Whitney, my friend Whitney, is a web designer as well. But there is no competition with us. We're only collaborators, and we can all learn from each other no matter what. That's been my thing for all my life, all of business, and it's really served me well. But I do have a gift for you, and it's called the Wow Website Planner. So if you want a wow website, all you have to do is go to my site and download that planner. It's absolutely free. It will tell you exactly what you need to do to create the pages you need to create, all of that for your website, and it's in the show notes below.
I love that. I just want to say thank you to all of you just for coming on here and sharing the challenges, the ups, the downs, and I feel like inspiring, because I've been inspired and I'm wanting to see about this living abroad thing while building a business. So I know that those listening have been inspired too. And even just to have that figure outable, I don't know if that's even a word, but that keeps coming up. Like everything is figure outable. Yeah.
Per Refolio or either her or somebody else, it is actually a word, and it does. You know, it describes what we're doing here. It's all figured out. And when you figure it out, you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? What was I waiting on? Why was I so scared? It's okay. It's fine. And you know what, Sabrina, the reason that I asked you to be a moderator, not only that you're amazing, I've worked with you on some other things, I've heard you speak, but just your reaction when I told you that I moved to Mexico, I thought you were going to faint. And I was like, if she reacts this way about Mexico, just think about all these other people who are actually doing business and making it work. I thought you would be, and you have been, the perfect moderator and special co-host for this, because you're excited. You want to hear this. You're asking the questions that everyone else wants to ask, but probably don't have the people they can talk to or ask or find out. So you've done a superb job doing this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much just for letting me, because I am just super curious, and it's been so good just to hear a little snippet of your journeys. And I know that other people are inspired too. And I also believe that you probably add something different and unique to your businesses, because you are living abroad and you are exposing yourself to different cultures. And I feel like that would create or add to what you're already providing for your clients. I would imagine that it would. And so I think that's just super cool.
Yes.
Thank you for bringing us together, Carol.
Thank you so much.
It won't be the
you.
last time, y'all. We might have to do a part 2, add some other people in. You never know. And I'm just so glad that y'all were all open to this and that we made it work. And thank God I didn't have no internet. I'm in a co-working space and it still
You
worked.
made it work.
Yeah.
Yep. Good job.
Made it work.
Well done.
Well, thanks. Together, Susan, you were impeccable. Your information is so wonderful. That's why I knew I had to have you on here, just like everyone else. Believe what you see. Believe what you
Right.
experience. Don't believe what people tell you. Get out there for yourself and do it because,
Right.
you just got to. All right.
Mhm.
Thanks, everyone.
Good.
Y'all have a good
Thank
one.
you.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Nice to meet you
Bye-bye.
all.
All right.
Thanks a
Bye-bye.
lot.
Bye.
Is your website ready for prime time? When your ideal prospects land on your website, do they see the true professional you are, or are they greeted by a site that's not quite ready for prime time? For 30 years, we've helped coaches and service providers transform their online presence into powerful client-attracting machines. As a premier website designers in the Atlanta area, we don't just build websites, we create conversion engines that work for you 24/7. Why choose CSI for your WOW website? We're experts in authority marketing. We help you convert web visitors into paying clients with our proven unmarketing strategy. We offer complete protection. We'll work hard to keep your website safe from hackers and accessible to all. And we offer purpose-driven results, custom designed for coaches and service providers who want to make a real impact. If you're ready to make an impact with your website, download our free WOW Website Planner today. Inside this planner, it'll give you all the information you need to create your own WOW website. Whether you use us or someone else, you need a WOW website that converts web visitors into paying clients. So go to csicorporation.com/planner right now and download the free WOW Website Planner. All right, hey, welcome back. Did you enjoy that episode? It was a hoot, right? I'm so glad that I got to do it. It was so much fun doing that with everyone. And I guess just kind of showcasing how it is to have your business, be a United States citizen, move abroad, live abroad, and work abroad. Own your business. Wasn't it amazing? Now, I'm not going to hold you long because I know the panel went longer than I thought it would. We had more fun than I thought we could, and it was great. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for tuning in, for watching, and be on the lookout for the next episode coming up. And in that episode, we're going to be talking about, it'll be Dr. Julie Hefner, and she is my client, colleague, and a friend. We have some crazy times when we get on together. We just can't shut up. But she is a functional medical professional, and she is going to show you how she prescribes growth for your business. So she's going to be talking about your body and your business. It's going to be fun. So make sure you tune in next time. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to the Unmarket Your Business podcast. Heard something you want to take action on? Great. Check out the show notes on unmarketyourbusiness.com/podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Please do me a favor and leave a review or on whatever platform you use to access this podcast. It really helps us to spread the word and get this podcast in front of the entrepreneurs that need it. See you next episode.